Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend so far. Today, we're going to be diving into our daily cryptocurrency market update, and I've got lots to share with you, lots of interesting things to share with you within this video. We are going to be looking at everything. The reason we started these cryptocurrency daily market updates was because many of you guys are new to investing. Cryptocurrencies are your first sort of investing ventures. And right now, paying attention and understanding the macroeconomic landscape and also geopolitical events and how they weigh heavily upon markets as a whole is absolutely key to understanding the cryptocurrency space. If you are looking for the answers of why crypto is acting, why it is solely within the crypto space, the price action will not make any sense. Rather, you need to understand that we are still a significant market, but a very small market that is now tethered to sort of global liquidity, macroeconomics, geopolitical events, and that our market is really moving off of those events and not the events taking place within our space. So we're going to be looking at everything in this video. We're going to be going over a tweet from Elon Musk. This actually factors in with everything that's going on right now. Yesterday we had the labor force data from the United States, which essentially determines how healthy things like job growth, wages, unemployment is or isn't. This factors into everything, certainly as we know that the Fed are looking to change and tighten monetary policy. They're doing this at a very rough time where we're seeing the likes of energy prices go through the roof and a number of other things. So we're going to get into it all within this video. A great way to look at the cryptocurrency space is it is a ship upon the ocean being macroeconomics and sort of, finance as a whole. And when the ocean is rough, crypto being the boat is going to move with it and act accordingly. And that's what's happening right now within the crypto space. External factors are affecting our significant but small space. Remember, March 2020 caused governments around the world to print a large volume of money, which went often directly into assets, quite a bit of it into the likes of Bitcoin. Now we're seeing a cooling off of that. And of course, you can see that within the chart. But there's also a lot going on. We're going to be showing you a number of different things. This is from Ether, Nazyolnal. I think I've said that right or probably said that wrong, where he's essentially comparing other markets in 2008 with the Russia-Georgia war and how they acted, and Bitcoin potentially is in a similar situation. So we're going to get into a lot. Let's talk about the February jobs report. It was very strong. We saw jobs essentially rise by 678,000. Unemployment edged a little bit lower, so this was good. This is kind of what the Fed will look at in order to see whether they can, just how well the economy may or may not fare. If an economy is strong, they're more likely to up interest rates, which they are going to do. This is the Fed Chair Powell notes highly uncertain Ukraine impact, but says rate hikes are still coming. Rate hikes have to come at this point. The real debate is whether they're going to be by 25 basis points or 50, which is 0.5% or 0.25%. Either way, it doesn't tackle inflation by any sort of a significant manner. It doesn't tackle it. Inflation is here to stay. We live in a credit system that has to keep growing essentially in order to sustain itself now. That's kind of modern economics really, and ultimately inflation doesn't go anywhere, and that's why Bitcoin is about. And we're actually seeing during all these sort of geopolitical events, Bitcoin really shine quite bright and potentially act as a lifeboat for certain individuals in certain situations that are getting cut off from other systems. Make of that what you will. So we'll take a look at the total. We'll take a look at the likes of the Nasdaq, the S&P, the dollar currency index, which saw a huge spike up yesterday. I actually expected this to kind of break to the downside. It didn't. But ultimately, one thing that you've got to keep your eyes on is the Fed or CPI, Consumer Price Index, is actually coming out on, I think, the 10th. It comes out. So next week. This is going to be extremely interesting because inflation was at an all-time high since 40 years or so. Last one that we had. This one, I actually think inflation may even be a little bit higher, which may see the likes of Bitcoin and other sort of hedges like gold and a number of other things have a little bit of a rally. So let's get into some of the tweets that I've got for you. Energy right now is going through the roof. This is a tweet from Lynn Alden, and here she's got natural gas EU Dutch TTF, and you can see what it's doing. Essentially, since the start of the year, it's more than doubled in terms of price. With what's happening with Russia right now, as they are large exporters of gas and oil, you know, this potentially could continue. And you've got the likes of Elon Musk in response to this actually coming out and tweeting. Remember, Elon Musk, by the way, is a renewable energy kind of guy. Hate to say it, but we need to increase oil and gas output immediately. Extraordinary times demand extraordinary measures. Obviously, this would negatively affect Tesla, but sustainable energy solutions simply cannot react instantaneously to make up for Russian oil and gas exports. You know, I've certainly noticed it here as a property owner. Bills have gone up. Some of them have nearly doubled, which is insanity. You've got to remember wages haven't gone up in accordance with this. Lots of talk about, are we heading into recession? It's possible. What do the Fed do in wake of that? Certainly when this all ties in to the Fed looking to up and change monetary policy and actually tighten it to what may be an already restricting and scared economy. So there's a lot going on that you've got to pay attention to, because if people are less fruitful with money, remember, lots of stimulus going into the economy, people potentially now less fruitful, you're not going to see the same sort of price appreciation and price action that we previously have. I do still think Bitcoin continues. I think we are going through some choppy action right now. We will see brighter days, as we typically always do with all markets. I thought this was a great tweet. You can see this guy's name here. I'm not going to try and say it again because I'm sure I butchered it enough the first time. But he's essentially comparing the DJI, the S&P, and the NASDAQ back in 2008 and what kind of happened there on the brink of war. Remember, we also had the 2008 housing crisis, which of course is played into here. And you can see, you know, we look very similar. We had this kind of double top situation, or this marginally higher high. Bitcoin's setting up similarly. We've also shown you the likes of Amazon and a number of other things that have kind of also replicated this kind of a structure. So we do think crypto and Bitcoin continues. We just think right now we're in a sort of choppy time period, and there's a lot of uncertainty, having sort of put a lot of people on the sidelines waiting to see how this all unfolds. Certainly your big institutions and hedge funds, as they won't be looking to rush into anything. This is from Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary says US policymakers are working on a policy to open crypto markets to institutional investors. Absolutely. We showed you some of Jerome Powell's comments in regards to crypto and how he likened it to technological revolutions before it. Technology can be motor industry, it can be the railroad industry, technology that's changed the world. And he essentially was likening crypto to that and says it needs regulatory framework to sort of go with it. That's coming, and that will really allow that next level of adoption to take place. One thing that crypto has that a lot of other industries don't is that it is still early on adoption and has to see a lot of appreciation from that. More people use it. When you look at the Bitcoin chart, for example, you're really looking at, you know, next to no users to the amount of users that we have today, which is still very small in regards to the sort of world's population. So that's one thing sort of in crypto's favor. We are seeing the likes of oil continue to go through the roof. This is going to weigh very, very heavily on the economy as a whole, considering oil really traded negative back in March 2020 and now is kind of, you know, back to the sort of positive, back to not only the positive, but making new all-time highs. Oil is in everything, plastics, you name it. It's used, you know, even if you think the industry that you're in is like super clean and healthy, the chances are it was transported by an oil-using vehicle. So it all weighs into everything. So there's a lot taking place right now, guys. And again, what's taking place within crypto doesn't reflect crypto, really. What it reflects, just like we played you that clip, Jeff Bezos talking about Amazon back in the 1990s or the 2000 when the stock crashed from $107 to $7, and he said it just didn't simply make any sense because the stock price crashed, but the company was going from strength to strength to strength, and what, you know, the price wasn't really reflective of the company, more sort of macroeconomics and what was going on there, and the fact that there was a crash taking place within an industry. Similar situation. This isn't a huge crash. Or, you know, people often forget crypto is very volatile. They look at this and they go, how can you say this isn't a crash when we've been down 43%? In 2017, guys, when we had one of the most aggressive bull runs that we've seen, it was common for Bitcoin to sell off 30+%. Today we got 41%. You know, you can see these all throughout a year that was extremely fruitful. still very volatile, and that has a lot to do with our sort of market cap. So, of course, we've gone over Lynn's tweet. We've gone over the fact that energy prices are rising. I found this not amusing, but certainly interesting that even Elon Musk was tweeting about the fact that, you know, we need to start doing something about oil and gas because the prices are just going through the roof. And this is going to, of course, have a really negative effect on the economy as a whole, given the fact that it's used by many and their wages just haven't simply gone up in accordance with these sort of rate hikes. CPI is coming out. I think in the next week, might be the 10th, and the last one was on the 10th of March, or the last one was on the 10th of February, so it's usually the 10th that it comes out. You know, how are we going to get a higher CPI, given the fact that oil is now an all-time high, or relative to an all-time high, and previously it hasn't been? You know, that CPI is something, of course, they can't really take oil out of the CPI. So it's super interesting time to be alive. Your altcoin market's actually holding up not too badly at all. Yes, it is down, but in the grand scheme of things, when you look at this, guys, it's not doing too badly at all, in my opinion. And you guys absolutely know that we are expecting more continuation for crypto. We're just going for a bit of chop right now. The ocean is rough, and crypto is upon it. So that's really all I have for you. You know, altcoins aren't doing too badly. NASDAQ is still significantly down. Lots of people trying to time this bottom. I think the better thing to do is just sit and watch what happens. For a lot of cryptos, I dollar cost average into them. That's a strategy that's worked for me so far, and I think it will ultimately continue to do so into the future. The reason I dollar cost, even in such uncertain times, is because the uncertainty just simply hasn't come from the cryptos, more everything else that's going on. And ultimately, I believe in a lot of the cryptocurrencies that I'm investing in. I can see already how they're changing the world, and they're only just really getting started. S&P's similar sort of thing. We saw a huge dollar spike, which was certainly interesting. I was expecting weakness here and a bit of a pullback, but you've got a lot of emerging currencies, a lot of the FX markets, the dollar's doing very well against. So that's really all I have for you in this video, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next YouTube video. Thank you very much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your Saturdays.